Today we're going to talk about what well-being is, the different types of well-being, and how to create more well-being in our lives. If you're a coach, consultant, or well-being entrepreneur, grab free science-based content to grow your business by clicking the ebook link in the description below. What is well-being? Well-being, which is sometimes also referred to as psychosocial well-being, is defined in different ways depending on who you ask. But psychologists have tended to define well-being in one of two ways. First, it is thought to involve higher levels of positive emotions and lower levels of negative emotions. Second, it is thought to include a general satisfaction with one's life. Further research has extended these basic ideas of well-being to include 6 distinguishable characteristics. These 6 aspects of well-being include positive relations with others, that is, warm, trusting, loving relationships; self-acceptance, that is, holding positive attitudes towards the self; autonomy, being able to choose and direct one's own behavior; environmental mastery, one's ability to advance in the world and know that one can change one's circumstances with effort; personal growth, the ability to develop, grow, and expand as a person; and life purpose, having a mission or sense of direction. Basically, each of these aspects of well-being operate independently. That is, you can be high in one while being low in others. That means that creating well-being often requires focusing on multiple different aspects. For example, one might focus on the aspects where they feel their well-being is the lowest. To learn more about your own well-being, take our well-being quiz, which is linked in the description below. So why is well-being important? To start, Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the United States, claimed that the pursuit of happiness, or more accurately, the pursuit of a meaningful life, should be a human right. In addition, it is the desire to move towards greater well-being that motivates the majority of human behavior. Everything from the jobs we work, to the relationships we make, to the hobbies we fill our time with. Well-being is arguably the purpose of life, even though we define and experience that well-being in an infinite number of ways. So what are the different dimensions or types of well-being? First, and perhaps most commonly discussed, is emotional well-being. Emotional well-being is the aspect of well-being that involves our emotions and satisfaction with life. When researchers talk about well-being, emotional well-being is usually what they are referring to. However, the lines are blurry even in the research, and emotional well-being often overlaps with other types of well-being, which we'll talk about next. Next is social well-being. Social well-being is defined as our self-reported relationship quality with others. Interestingly, though, other aspects of social well-being depend upon how we compare ourselves to others. For example, we evaluate and therefore form opinions of our well-being based on comparisons to neighbors, friends, and even people we see on TV. Therefore, we may report relatively higher or lower well-being depending on how well or not well others are doing. Letting go of these comparisons is a great first step in increasing our social well-being. We also have mental well-being. Mental well-being, which might also be called cognitive well-being or intellectual well-being, has to do with the well-being of the mind. Again, there is an overlap between mental well-being and the other types of well-being. But poor mental well-being might involve things like rumination, minimizing, or suppression. On the flip side, positive mental well-being might include not getting caught up in negative thoughts, accepting our thoughts, and effectively processing our thoughts. Next, let's talk about financial well-being. Financial well-being is less often discussed as part of the science of well-being. This is a shame because finances have such a huge impact on our personal well-being. In fact, one study showed that lottery winners showed sustained increases in well-being for over a decade. However, the impact of money on well-being is not straightforward at all, and money doesn't increase well-being in all circumstances. Nevertheless, it's clear that increasing income up to a certain amount, or $75,000 and $2,010, is correlated with parallel increases in well-being. Increasing income beyond this amount does not seem to influence well-being. We also have spiritual well-being. Although spiritual well-being is rarely the focus of research in the psychology field, aspects of spirituality and enlightenment overlap considerably with other areas of psychology, especially positive psychology. For example, Buddhist and Hindu texts suggest that awakening or enlightenment involves happiness, pleasure, ease, joy, and bliss. This sounds very similar to how we psychologists define well-being. Physical well-being is also sometimes considered to be a part of overall well-being. Although well-being research tends to focus on emotional aspects more than physical aspects, there is no doubt that physical health is a part of or contributor to well-being. Some aspects of physical well-being might include self-reported physical health, illness symptoms, and health-related behaviors like smoking or alcohol use. Lastly, we have holistic well-being. Holistic well-being is the overall well-being that includes all the types we've described previously. In the mainstream, holistic well-being is generally thought to be an approach to well-being that not only considers these many dimensions, but also how they interact and affect each other. For example, poor physical well-being is likely to contribute to poor emotional well-being and vice versa. So what's the difference between well-being and wellness? There are no hard and fast rules here, but in the mainstream, the term well-being tends to be used for social and emotional topics, whereas wellness tends to be used for diet and exercise-related topics. Now, what are some ways that we can create more well-being in our lives? One approach might involve focusing on the aspects of well-being that you find to be most lacking. Assuming you make progress in these areas, this approach is likely to give you the greatest bang for your buck. That is, your efforts can make a big impact on your well-being. You might, alternatively, focus on the dimensions of well-being that you are most interested in. This approach is also a good one, as we are likely to stay more motivated to work on things that we enjoy. Another approach is drawn from spiritual texts and involves working through issues associated with the lower chakras and then ascending upward towards the higher chakras. Although the science on chakras is limited, the spiritual texts outline these as a possible model of well-being, basically splitting well-being into different dimensions. If these dimensions of well-being resonate with you, working your way through them can be a useful way of organizing your path towards greater well-being. I've created a Secret Keys workbook that uses the chakras to provide a customizable map to personal well-being. You can check out the Secret Keys book by clicking the link in the description below. In addition, on our website, we have tons of different strategies to help you create more well-being in your life. In the article version of this video, we've linked to related articles that discuss each of the following strategies in detail. Check out that article by clicking the link in the description below. In the meantime, let's review some of the things you can do to boost your well-being. For emotional well-being, you can build self-love, practice emotion regulation, and get to know your emotions better. For social well-being, you can build healthy social connections, improve your communication skills, and practice forgiveness. For mental well-being, you can practice positive thinking, try savoring, and develop more gratitude. For financial well-being, you can try living more simple, build passive income streams, and get clear on your goals. For spiritual well-being, you can work on developing presence and acceptance. And for physical well-being, you can work on improving your diet and exercise habits. You may also want to explore some well-being boosting activities that you can easily implement in your daily life. Some of my favorites are loving kindness meditation, random acts of kindness, asking others deep questions, exploring positive qualities, and daily journaling. Now that we have a better sense of what to do to improve well-being, let's talk a bit more about the research. First, let's talk about how mental health and well-being differ. Researchers have argued that mental health and well-being are not the same thing. In fact, a person can have positive mental health while having low well-being, and vice versa. One researcher argued that increases in well-being make you better off in some way. This might involve happiness, contentment, and healthy relationships. This researcher further suggests that positive mental health focuses specifically on the mental, or mind, aspects of health. Indeed, historically, mental health has focused on mental illness, or the absence of mental illness, while well-being has focused more on promoting positive outcomes. These definitional differences don't really matter so much if we desire to improve our mental health and well-being. However, it can be helpful for us to understand that mental health approaches focus on decreasing negative emotions and outcomes, while well-being approaches focus on increasing positive emotions and outcomes. We'll need to do a bit of both of these on our well-being journey, but knowing these differences can help us focus on what's most likely to be most helpful in the present moment. So what are some examples of well-being? There is a near infinite number of ways that one might create well-being in their life. Below are a few examples that demonstrate more well-being versus less well-being. 1. Optimism, pessimism. Someone who is optimistic is likely to have higher well-being due to their habit of looking at their life situation positively. 2. Positive emotions, negative emotions. Although one can experience both positive and negative emotions at the same time, in general, those who tend to experience more positive emotions are likely to report greater well-being. These experiences of joy, happiness, contentment, and excitement may all contribute to greater well-being. 3. Kindness, hostility. On average, those who are kind are likely to have greater well-being than those who are hostile. Kindness makes us feel good, while hostility likely comes from anger or unresolved resentment, which may thwart well-being. Now you've uncovered the gigantic topic that is well-being. Hopefully, you have a better sense of what well-being is and why it has become such a popular topic in the field of psychology. If you dabble in the resources we offer on our website, I'm sure you'll find something that makes your life at least a little bit better. And if you dive in, like I did, you might just wake up one day and realize that your life is completely different. Something like a magical dream that you never saw coming. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and check out our free resources at berkeleywellbeing.com.